As to the historicity of it, or the reality of it, let's take something that for some reason Christians think is important, which I conceded. I said it could have been true, it wouldn't make any difference to me, the virgin birth. According to the Bible, the birth of Jesus Christ was in this wise. I quote, "When his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Ghost." I add in my book, and I'll quote, "Yes. And the Greek demigod Perseus was born when the god Jupiter visited the virgin Danae as a shower of gold and got her with child. The god Buddha was born through an opening in his mother's flank. Catlicus, the serpent skirted, caught a little ball of feathers from the sky and hid it in her bosom. And the Aztec god Huitzilopochtli was thus conceived. The virgin Nana took a pomegranate from the tree watered by the blood of the slain Agdestris and laid it in her bosom and gave birth to the god Attis. The virgin daughter of a Mongol king awoke one night and found herself bathed in a great light, which caused her to give birth to Genghis Khan. Krishna was born of the virgin Devaka. Horus was born of the virgin Isis. Mercury was born of the virgin Maya. Romulus was born of the virgin Rhea Silvia." Even the Quran agrees that the Virgin Mary was born by an immaculate conception. By the way, the Quran says that Jesus was not crucified at all. The Jews crucified someone else in his place, and he never died. There's no end to the way in which this kind of thing can be fabricated, but those who say that you can just tell by the potency and pungency of the story, by the memorability of it, that there must be something true about it, are simply inviting you to rely not on your thinking faculties or your intellectual capacity at all, but on straight-out credulity and on the repeated manufacture of things that appear to be part of the hard and soft wiring of legend in our mammalian primate history. Apparently, if you want to have a prophet, it's better if his mother is a virgin. You want to fabricate another one, that's what will happen. Actually, Joseph Smith, as far as I know, never made that claim. But I think Mrs. Smith was well enough known to the local newspaper reporters of the greater New York area, in which you can read up the whole history of that family, to make it rather unlikely that thing could be sold.
Well, the historicity of Jesus, did Jesus really exist in history? In one sense, that's a rather trivial question, because there were lots of wandering preachers in Palestine at the time. Yehoshua is a very common name, that's the Hebrew version of understanding of Jesus. So the question, did Jesus exist, is actually not a very interesting question. The question, did Jesus walk on water? Was Jesus born of a virgin? Was Jesus, did Jesus rise from the dead? Did he perform miracles? Did he raise Lazarus from the dead? Well, no, he didn't. Nobody did. So the historicity of the alleged stories about Jesus' miracles and so on, which are the main reason why people take Jesus seriously, no, that never happened. But it's really a long question. It's not an interesting question whether Jesus himself, whether a man called Jesus existed. Probably lots did, yes.
And it's one of those things when you're engaged with theists, and we'll go back to Christmas time, and you have the virgin birth miracle. That is a strong tenet in almost every variety of Christianity. And the cool thing for me is, we know that virgin births are possible in other species. Parthenogenesis, the ability for a creature to reproduce without sex, even if they're normally sexually reproducing. I think some sharks have done it and some others. And there are also species in the ocean, for example, that completely change their gender, change their sex through some process. But that doesn't happen in humans. We have no evidence of happening in humans. But let's say we found a human that reproduced without sex, and we could absolutely confirm this. Well, that's still a process that has nothing to do with whether or not there was divine intervention. At the end of the day, even demonstrating something that appears to us miraculous does not tell you how it occurred. So let's say there's a true story that Mary conceived a child without ever having sex. I'm not convinced any part of this story is remotely true, whether or not she existed or had a kid or whatever, but we'll go with that. That does not lead us to the inevitable conclusion that therefore God magically impregnated this. And that whole explanation is something we see over and over again. Whenever we don't understand something, someone will stick a God in there. And, oh, we don't understand how somebody could be pregnant never having had sex. It must be a miracle. Or a lie.
Yeah, I get it. Have you seen that meme where it shows Mary and she's got the pregnancy test and she's like, shit, you know?
Got to make something up.
Yeah.
Quick.
Consider Christianity. The entire doctrine is predicated on the idea that the gospel account of the miracles of Jesus is true. This is why people believe Jesus was the Son of God, divine, etc. This textual claim is problematic because everyone acknowledges that the Gospels followed Jesus' ministry by decades, and there's no extra biblical account of his miracles. But the truth is quite a bit worse than that. The truth is, even if we had multiple contemporaneous eyewitness accounts of the miracles of Jesus, this still would not provide sufficient basis to believe that these events actually occurred. Well, why not? Well, the problem is that first-hand reports of miracles are quite common, even in the 21st century. I have met literally hundreds at this point of Western-educated men and women who think that their favorite Hindu or Buddhist guru has magic powers. All the powers ascribed to these gurus are every bit as outlandish as those ascribed to Jesus. Now, I actually remain open to evidence of such powers, but the fact is that people who tell these stories desperately want to believe them. All, to my knowledge, lack the kind of corroborating evidence we should require before believing that nature's laws have been abrogated in this way. And people who believe these stories show an uncanny reluctance to look for non-miraculous causes. But it remains a fact that yogis and mystics are said to be walking on water and raising the dead and flying without the aid of technology, materializing objects, reading minds, foretelling the future, right now. In fact, all of these powers have been ascribed to Satya Sai Baba, the South Indian guru, by an uncountable number of eyewitnesses. He even claims to have been born of a virgin, which is not all that uncommon a claim in the history of religion. Or in history generally. Genghis Khan supposedly was born of a virgin, as was Alexander. Apparently, parthenogenesis doesn't guarantee that you're going to turn the other cheek. In any case, so consider, as though for the first time, the foundational claim of Christianity. The claim is this, that miracle stories of a sort that today surround a person like Satya Sai Baba become especially compelling when you set them in the pre-scientific religious context of the first century Roman Empire, decades after their supposed occurrence. We have Satya Sai Baba's miracle stories attested to by thousands upon thousands of living eyewitnesses, and they don't even merit an hour on the Discovery Channel. But you place a few miracle stories in some ancient books, and half the people on this earth think it a legitimate project to organize their lives around them.
In fact, it's the differences that prove the point. It's the same with Christianity. In the first century, there was already a huge template, many model stories upon which previous myths had been built. There were dozens of ancient god men who came down from heaven. They were born of a god and a human female, often a virgin. They performed heroic, miraculous deeds. They were persecuted. They died tragic deaths. They rose from the dead. Many of them ascended into heaven. But in the gospel story, the gospel version of that old tale, the God-man is not called Osiris or Dionysus or Attis or Adonis or Augustus or Romulus. His name is changed to Jesus. Different name, same story. In his book, Born Divine, The Births of Jesus and Other Sons of God, Robert Miller documents many miraculous births. Hercules, Theagenes, Alexander the Great, Caesar Augustus, Apollonius of Tyana, Pythagoras.
What do you think about this? Well, I don't know about the virgin birth or not. Do you think that's key to being a Christian? Do you think all those sort of fundamental key...
It's up to them. If they want to believe supernatural nonsense, that is up to them, but don't force it on the rest of us.
I think it was David Hume who put it slightly vulgarly. This was again about the virgin birth, I think. Which is more likely, that the whole natural order is suspended, or that a Jewish minx should tell a lie? There has to be an answer to this kind of question.